Hey, welcome back to the Little Black ShadeTree. My girls and I wanted to start a bug collection, and they're so much cooler in resin. So this was our attempt at trying resin for the first time, and it worked out really well. Now to start a bug collection, you gotta go on a bug hunt. So the first thing we did was we set out into the back forest where we've got about 10 acres of forested area back there. We started turning over rocks and digging through bark, and unfortunately we waited until the season turned cold, so there weren't that many bugs out, but we still found some really great treasures, including 3 big best beetles. They were awesome. One way to catch nocturnal insects: just lay down a white poster board or a cloth and shine a light down on it and they will appear like magic. It was too cold for us to use that method and get moths, but that's okay. We still got some good stuff. Once you've got your jars full of bugs, stick them in the freezer. That will kill them and preserve them. Our next step was to get our bugs out and pose them. After our bugs were preserved in the freezer, I transferred them into these cool little containers I got at the Dollar Tree. It was, I think, 8 for $1. They are awesome. It's much better than sticking them in my nice canning jars. So my girls dumped out the bugs onto some styrofoam, rolled them over, and they're not stiff. Now that they're thawed, they're actually nice and moldable. So we used some pins and posed their legs so they looked like they were alive and not like little dead bugs. My girls liked this part. We used lots of little sewing pins and got them the way we liked them. The big best beetles had giant mandibles, so I took some time trying to pry those jaws open so that you could see how big their jaws are. They're awesome. We found 2 honeybees, which I was really excited about. Look at those mandibles. Aren't those impressive? I love them. We were able to get those pried open. They were pretty strong. It was impressive. So here are my materials for the resin. I ordered these 2 bottles. They came together. I ordered them off Amazon, and then I had some disposable popsicle sticks, and I got some silicone molds back there, and here's our bugs. I learned in a video by a university that soft-bodied bugs like spiders or larvae, they need to be boiled to be preserved. So before you pose them or do anything, as soon as you can, you get a pot of boiling water and you throw them in for about 10 seconds. It's like hard boiling an egg, and it preserves them. So keep that in mind. I got out 2 of my little Dollar Tree containers, and it's important that you use equal parts of these 2 chemicals or products. However, it doesn't really matter how much you use, it's just how much you need for the project you're doing. But they need to be equal, exactly equal. So I just used 2 of my little Dollar Tree bottles, and it worked out perfect, especially because they're disposable. Yay! Here I poured them into my disposable cups, and I'm using popsicle sticks to get the last few drops. This became a really challenging part because you want to stir them really nice and slow because you can't get air bubbles in them. And here I am just flying through this resin, and I ended up going too fast and I got air bubbles in it and I had to discard it. So here is a second attempt. This is my actual speed. Don't go any faster than that. It takes forever to get it done, but it's worth it. Go nice and slow. You don't want those air bubbles. I'm transferring it nice and easy, again, minimizing air bubbles, into a new cup because it's recommended that you transfer it to a new cup and then stir it the rest of the way just to make sure you don't have unstirred amounts clinging to the sides. Once you've got all the streaks out, go ahead and pour in a small amount into your mold. Again, I'm using the disposable ones for at least some of the bugs. Please do it on a protector from your table. You do not want to ruin your table. So I used a cheap cutting board here that I'm going to toss and not use food on. One really important thing to keep the bubbles from clinging to your bugs is you want to get your bug wet with the resin first. Give it a little resin bath and then stick him down in. Now you want to give your resin some time to gellify before putting your bug on top of it. You want to make this a two-step process. Pour in the bottom layer and then let it sit until it gets to a nice thick gel. And I think that's going to be about an hour. I did it a little too soon. I put my bugs in too soon, so they started to float to the top, and you don't want that. You put some resin in and then you let it gellify. And then you give your bug a resin bath and stick him down in so it holds him nice and tight, because trust me, your bugs are gonna wanna float. And then you mix a second batch of resin and pour it on over top. So here's my honeybee, and he's getting his resin bath, and then he's gonna go in. Here they are. This is them hardening a little bit. I'm letting the resin gellify and harden a little bit more. Man, those bark beetles' legs, they are so tall. He just would not fit in the mold. The mold was just too shallow. So that discarded cup that I didn't use because it was full of bubbles, I went back and checked it out, and part of it hardened really hard and the rest of it didn't, but it actually got really hot. It was quite the chemical reaction I did not expect. It was really hot, so I stuck it outside immediately because I was worried about some kind of awful chemical reaction like spontaneous combustion or something in my house, so I got rid of it. Once my bugs were ready for the top layer of resin, I just mixed up another batch and I poured it nice and carefully over the bugs so as to minimize those air bubbles. I actually used the popsicle stick to help it drip down carefully. So here they are. They are ready to sit. Go ahead and let them rest for 24 hours before you break them out. The disposable plastic ones we just cut open with scissors, and the silicone ones just popped out easily. And sometimes we had a little bit of resin clinging up the side, so we just cut it off, and I know that you can grind it off with a nail file as well. The silicone molds were definitely the best, but the Dollar Tree ones were definitely cheaper, so they both worked out really well. My girls loved these bugs. The silicone molds were a little shallow for those gigantic bark beetles, so their little feet were sticking down the bottom. My favorite were the honeybees because I included a queen cell, which is a little wax home where the honeybees raise a new queen. I thought that was really cool. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it inspires you to try something fun. My girls and I had a total blast, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.